Matt Bernier here in the Daily Racing Form Studios, joined by DRF National Handicapper Mike Watchmaker to take a look at this weekend's Weekend Warrior. It's a long holiday weekend, Mike. Let's start at Arlington Park. It's the 6th race on Saturday, the Grade 3 Arlington Matron, 1.125 miles on the poly track. You've got a field of 11 signed on in here, and you've got some interesting sort of middling fillies and mares. I don't think we have any superstars in this spot, but let's start off with a couple runners that I think right now are going to take a lot of the money because they're recent names. The number 3, Brooklyn's Way, goes out for Bernie Flint. This is a horse that her most recent start was in the La Troyenne, ran okay, but didn't really replicate that form that we saw at Keeneland 2 starts back. Where do you think she fits in a race like this?
I don't like her, Matt. If she wins, I lose. I don't think she ran well in the La Troyenne. I mean, she was a soundly beaten 5th of 6 in that race. And when she upset the double dog there 2 starts back, she was 25-1. But I think the real problem with Brooklyn's Way in here is that she's a bit of a question mark at this 1.8 distance. This is a 1.8 at Arlington's poly track. It's not a 1.8 that's very easy to get. They're running uphill, not downhill in this race. And it's demanding 9 furlongs. And, there are a lot of horses in this race that are very questionable at this distance, and I just think Brooklyn's Way is one of them.
Where do you stand with the filly down, or the mare, I should say, down on the inside, the number 1, Flip Cup? On synthetic, she really seems to love it, but again, you alluded to the distance for some of these fillies and mares. Do you think the 1.125, she's 0 for 3 at it thus far, do you think that's a bit of a problem?
I don't think it's a problem for her at all because 2 starts back, she won the 1.25 Maple Leaf on Woodbine's poly track. So I actually think the distance will be perfect for her. I mean, Flip Cup she would be my 3rd pick in this race. And if she had a race this year, I might have wound up picking her in this race. But she's coming off a December layoff, and that's a little bit problematic for me anyway. But she is definitely a filly that is way better on synthetic surfaces than she is on any other surface. And, Belmont kept her in the Midwest. Belmont's her trainer, kept her in the Midwest and shipped her up for Churchill for this spot. So, he's doing the right thing by her. I just wish she had a race this year before I would want to jump on her in a spot like this.
The 6, No Fault of Mine, goes out for Chris Block. Very sharp condition. Her 2nd start off the layoff. Scored a nice little win in an allowance race down at Keeneland on the turf. 2 for 2 on synthetic. 7 times in the exact out of 8 tries. This is a filly that's probably going to be trying to make her move from the back of the pack. Again, she seems to fit, but overall, where do you think, from a value standpoint, she stacks up?
Well, on paper, she's very, very dangerous. But, this is a filly that's got a lot of upside still, I think. She's, like you said, she's only had 8 starts. She's relatively lightly raced when you compare it to the rest of this group. I think she's still got good races ahead of her. But you mentioned the key word, and that's value, because No Fault of Mine has been bet every single time she's run. She's 2 for 2 at Arlington, albeit in sprints. But she showed that she's really in top form with a win at a 3rd level. How many 3rd level allowance races do you see these days? Not many. She won a 3rd level allowance race at Keeneland, a very nice one, on the turf last time out. So she's in top form right now. I'm very, very afraid of No Fault of Mine in here. The only problem, the way I see it, is going to be her price. I think she'll be bet.
And let's talk about the horse that you like in this spot, drawn just to her outside, the 7, Personal Diary, a filly that I've always been a fan of. Tell us a little bit about why you like her in this spot.
Well, I'll be the first to admit that there's a certain scent about this mare in this race. Now, she's made 21 career starts, and 19 of them have been on turf. And she was badly beaten last time out in the Grade 3 Bewitch on the turf, and she was 20-1 in that race. And it's almost as if, we've talked about this concept before in these Weekend Warrior videos. The outfit is grasping at straws to try and figure out what to do with her, because even though Personal Diary in her younger days, 2 years ago, as a 3-year-old, was a Grade 1 stakes winner on turf, she won the Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks on turf. I just don't think she's competitive in graded turf stakes anymore. So they're trying to do something different with her, and they're moving her to synthetics. And usually this is a sign of desperation. But, Personal Diary has raced on synthetics twice before in her life. The first time was only in the 3rd start of her career in the Grade 1 Alcibiades. She was totally overmatched. She was 56-1 in that race. So I'm not going to hold her badly beaten effort in that one against her. But The other time she tried synthetic was in an off-the-turf race at Del Mar a couple of years ago. It was an allowance race, and she was finished second, beating only ahead. She was a very, very unlucky loser that day. She was blocked from the quarter pole to mid-stretch, checked sharply, angled out, and then finished well. This Personal Diary is a mare that did win 2 starts back off a layoff in an allowance race at Keeneland, so I think she still can be effective. I think that, in this particular instance, the surface switch for a horse who's obviously a turf horse isn't so bad, and I think she's going to be a little bit of value with that really bad running line last time. So I went with Personal Diary here.
Is there anyone else in this field of fillies and mares that you're mildly intrigued with, just based on whether it's running style, with the way this race shapes up on paper, from a value standpoint?
No, I like Personal Diary. I'm scared to death of No Fault of Mine, and I think Flip Cup is a solid contender in here. And if I thought that she was going to fire right off the bench, I would definitely include her prominently in my exotic wagers.
Race 6 on Saturday at Arlington Park. It's the Grade 3 Arlington Matron for 3-year-olds and up. Fillies and mares going a mile and an eighth. Mike's going to go with the 7, Personal Diary. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll go to Santa Anita. We'll talk about the Snow Chief.